You're listening to the Valley Current.
Hello, Jack.
Congratulations, you just were awarded your PhD, right?
Thank you. Yes.
Excellent. That's quite a journey. How many years did you put in?
Roughly about 2.5 years.
That's
Mostly,
fast.
you have to, once you're going through the process in my mind, and you know what needs to be done, you have to take things off the table. So I slow down work, and then I put more energy into it. Obviously, we're all into families. I told them, if I don't do that, you can't be any and everywhere to sort of get it done. So all of that. So between waking up 2 a.m., 4 a.m., when the ideas are coming, you can't slow up. So I put my energy into it to get it done, one thing at a time.
Congratulations. How many years of classes, though, preceded the 2.5 years of writing?
Literally, I took all classes in within the pandemic. I did a bit of classes online, and then I did all classes in Paris, in New York. We couldn't go to China because those classes were not available given the restrictions and so forth, or elsewhere, Brazil. But what we did do is we took advantage of the online platform or digital platform, plus in-person places, geographic region, which is open. Then we got it all done. I'm grateful.
What year did you start?
We started 2020. Yeah.
Wow, that's fast. You work fast.
We have to get it done. It's not about talent alone. It's about passion. Once the passion is there, the will is there, you just have to sort of, it's similar to what sports athletes have done it. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, you just have to sort of zero in to get the job done.
And you did this all in parallel with you running your investment wealth advisory practice, right?
I took a step back a bit because you can't do it all. You're not a superhuman, and especially when you don't have all the teams around you, you have to reallocate your resources in terms of time, energy, and especially also when you look into the future, you have to also again rethink through the process. It's an ongoing process every day or journey as you go through. So I took a step back a bit to retool, to reconfigure, to redesign, and then to beam it into the future.
When you think about the journey, you have a lot of degrees and a lot of certifications for what I think is financial planning, right?
No, we've done everything from oil and gas. We've done everything from the blessings of finance is that you get exposed to all 10 sectors of the global economy, from consumer discretionary, financial services, industrials. So you meet the actors and players within it, and you think through it, and then you go through the process to sort of, again, not necessarily the numbers. You're looking at the current situation into the future. Of course, you look at history too, and so forth. So with, part of, not learning practical to understand, and not to be an expert in one sector. So again, bringing it back home, all of this is to understand, to uncover, to know the drivers and movers into the future. And then you can be able to work and to bring a customized solution into the market. It's not fixated or, so to speak, a standalone solution, but more so a flexible solution that it continued to be evolved over time. So yeah, I have a broad-based understanding of the global, not necessarily economy, but sectors that, we've gone through heated investments, conversations and reviews, analysis, committees, and so forth. So in a nutshell, it's more along the lines of bringing a value to the market that serves customers.
Right. So you're doing this all from your home office in Alberta, Canada?
We're based in Alberta, Edmonton, where now that's where we're based, but we've lived in different provinces across Canada. Of course, that's where the experiences also come, and also with our global partners in Germany, in South Africa, Saudi Arabia, all of those brains, even California, Silicon Valley. One of our partners is based out of there, Swarm Innovation. Those are ideas and that we leverage on to bring a solution to the market.
So how is this going to change your life now going forward? What do you see happening going forward? You have a lot more time maybe now, right?
Jack, I don't. We have to solve problems. We're built in the world. Every human has it in them to drive, to think, to go through the process. So for me, I'm thinking about sustainability. What can I do to sort of help a company? Even just as a minuscule today, I was at my kids' or daughter's event. They're running for districts. And every kid you see that have the aptitude, you have to go and stimulate, right? So we don't have the time. So what we've done is to build a platform, not a website, that integrates with our global partners, whether it's software related, whether it's research related, institutes related, to be able to drive that force of bringing practical application into the marketplaces to connect good people and to deliver a good value into the market. That's what we're focused on. We don't have the time to waste. Maybe today we're talking, tomorrow I'll, drop dead. As the saying goes, it may be a green leaf, but the dry leaves are falling same as the green. So we don't have the time to waste. We have to be able to drive value into the market along the lines of elevating opportunity, unlocking opportunity, giving hope and future to the next generation.
Right. When you look at what's happening in the fires in Canada, what do you think to yourself? Because that's probably not far from where you are now, right?
Well, it all started 500 kilometers from where, in fact, I live here in Alberta, but reality is, this winter wasn't a real winter we know in Alberta. It was dry, the land is dry and so forth. Having said that, we've had previous fires in Fort McMurray, 2016. Fort McMurray is the oil hub. When you know about oil sands, that's where it all comes. So we're used to it, but it was not necessarily unanticipated. The data shows that we will have, but when, sometimes it's very tricky from that perspective. But having said, it did happen. Now, these fires, when it does happen, it's not necessarily, again, as experts are going through and pouring the numbers, it's not due to, climate change alone. It could be, lightning. It could be you're driving an ATV and then sort of strike the grass and then a spark, or you're starting something. So it's still unknown. But again, we also have to think of the process of the ecosystem of the world has a way of renewing itself, that it's not akin to one particular area. The Amazon forest went through a similar process whereby now they were emitting, they were actually not absorbing, but rather they were contributing, right? So, and then it became the Congo Basin in Africa, whereby it was producing more to offset. But anyway, to bring it to the current context, it's not that it was a black swan, but it was more along the lines of it was going to happen when, where we didn't know. But thankfully, we have the resources globally to help. The federal government working in tandem with the municipal government, working in tandem with the provincial government, and then the global support from US, South Africa, France, France, they're all tapping in to help us to sort of deal with the reality. But it's not Canada's problem, it's the world problem. And moving forward, it's not a function of one country, one municipality, one province, or one state, as you will say, but it's us collectively pulling in to drive and solve a particular unique situation.
Right. When you look at the air quality, it's cleared up now, because the air quality was pretty bad for a while, wasn't it?
Depending on where the wind blows, and depending on also when it's raining today, it did rain slightly, then it shifts the quality. But so far, where I live, it's a little bit clear. But other parts of the country, it's a little bit tricky from that perspective.
Right. So do you stay inside or do you go outdoors?
Well, usually, of course, the beauty of the world is now we have technology which is operating optimally to some extent. And so we get the warnings, even with kids, schools, and so forth. We rely on those things. You stay in when the quality is not there, or you get the warnings and so forth. I happen to use Apple phone. Of course, Android get the same feed. So technology is also helping us to know what to do and to manage the process as we go forward.
How many school days were canceled as a result of the fires? Did they cancel some school days so the kids stayed home?
So the community that I live in, or in Canada, there were 26,000, over 26,000 individuals who were evacuated when the air quality wasn't as where it should be. So those individuals would have been missed schools, of course, with kids and maybe universities and so forth. But where I live, there was no school days canceled, so to speak.
So the schools stayed open in Edmonton?
Yes.
Even though it was smoky in the air?
They didn't go outside to play. Even games were canceled. My kids are very active, so even yesterday, my daughter was going to play soccer, but it was canceled, although you could see it was a little bit clear. So those things happen, but usually when they go to school, they stay indoors. Yeah. And then there's ventilation and all of those things just to help. You just always have to find a solution around a problem.
Right. What are the ages of your two daughters?
9 and 13.
Oh, so that's a good age. You're right. You're right at the point when you'll have two teenagers soon.
I'm going through the hence I have a gray hair. But they're doing very well. They're doing very well. Fantastic. They are one is into running. The other is both of them are into dancing and so forth. They've, when I say they've done very well, awards, and the first one is into provincials and so forth in terms of running. But again, it's not the awards, it's not the distance they ran, it's focusing on discipline and consistency and their passion and potential. For me as a parent, that's what my focus is. It's not so much about numbers and what they can be and so forth. Of course, if the passion and drive and potential is there, why not?
Did you ever watch the Apple show called Ted Lasso about soccer?
Yes, I did.
What did you think about it? What did you think?
It was a bit tricky, but he did his best, right? He went into a situation where there were no systems in place, and he had to put systems along the way. And he has to also motivate them. So the way it was when he went into the game, he had to figure out, leadership is all about influence, right? So do I know this person, that person? And you saw the empathy that he drew from each and every one of them, the collective energy that came to fore, and that they were winning. Of course, you can't do it all, but he did his part to sort of lay the foundation for the generations that come in terms of coaches, managers to be able to take it to the next level. And the beauty about it is the leadership qualities that he infused in the players and the management team was key, and was able to elevate even the owner of the team that had a different objective. Let me put it that way. But again, it's all about influence, leadership, building a platform, and laying the foundation to take it to the next level.
So you must have seen a lot of things that reverberated positively for you, given the topic of your PhD about work-life balance, in watching him, because he ends up really destroying his home life by leaving the United States and leaving his son and his wife, right? He completely changes his work-life balance into much more about work than about life, at least in the beginning, right?
Well, they say when you're at the top, you are all alone. And when you're at the top, you also have to have board of directors around you. So it's one of those things that leaders have to be conscientious about, not just the individuals you lead in, but who is around you. And the key to it is you can't do it all alone. So you bring individuals around you that not necessarily, oh, you're doing well and not and so forth, to drive your home quality. It may not be perfect, of course. When the season starts and so forth, you're always on the road. It's just the reality of the game. But more so to get your head in the right place. It's always going to be a balance. That's why I came up with a model used to borrow from management consultancy, where it's almost like a spider, right? Where am I going low or high, and where can I focus on? To each individual is different. To each leader, it is different. So if you have your inner circle with you, it helps in that process. But you as a leader, you can't do it alone.
Right. And when you think about your studies for the last 2 or 3 years, it really goes into areas that are divorced from financial performance that you otherwise were practicing in, right? You're now really focused much more on organizational leadership, right? Or transformational leadership, right?
Yeah, financial performance and investment return is an outcome of what you've done. So the reality of the situation is you also have to know the intricacies of whether it's a business, personal, it's all the same, right? So for example, let's take you. At the end of the day, everything you do in life, whether it's in retirement, semi-retirement, and so forth, is a function of what you have done in the past. Equally with organizations. So organizations are not separate from personal. It's just the activities you do. And now we have to focus on the minute, and it could be a black swan, not a black swan, but to help, manage things that can bring profitable outcome. Profitability is, if you do the right things along the way, performance will be there, profitability will be there. But the key is organizations are living beings, personal are living beings. And then in between how you cascade it is also a different dimension altogether. But the end goal is we're not numbers, be it organization or individuals. We're not numbers. We're living being, living ecosystem that needs attention to be played in the right places to be able to ensure that we're sort of making the right decision to move things. If the performance then become 10%, 20%, etc., then we're happy, right? But the key is we have to focus on the individual and businesses, and then, be it small, medium, large enterprises, and then do the right things to be able to move the world or the global economy in the right direction.
Right. And you could say to yourself that what Ted Lasso represents is the transformation of that team into a high performance organization, right?
Yes.
By a guy who knew nothing about the sport. He came from football, the American football, and decided to become a soccer manager, not knowing any of the rules. He was learning along the way. He was learning the sport along the way. And of course, they bring the audience into comparing football, the US-based football, with the pigskin ball, to soccer, which is a ball that rolls on the grass, which is very different and has very different moves, but it both involves team play. It both involves strategy and tactics, and they both involve coaching. And that's a lot of what he does, although at a much higher level than the coaches on the field that are more specific to the training element. So it's interesting. That show did really, really well because it was such a positive show. And it really made a statement to Americans that transformational leadership can occur even by someone who knows nothing about the particular game. Kind of like a CEO who moves out of, say, the semiconductor industry and goes into the clothing industry, or vice versa. If they can motivate their team members to perform, it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. They just learn how to motivate people more than anything else. Ted Lasso, a lot of people were sad when that show came to an end just recently. It just came to an end. Recently, there were a lot of people that were very sad that there wasn't another season coming because there were various hooks that were left open in the show, like, what's going to happen to the team? Who's actually, is it going to continue to be successful? But without Ted Lasso, it's pretty hard to have a show called Ted Lasso, right?
There you go. Yeah. Right. And just to sort of add to it, leadership is leadership. You don't have to have again, the world has moved, industries have moved, but leadership will always be leadership. And it's a continuous process. So long as you're listening, you're learning, you don't go into an organization to sort of start saying, change things or tell people what to do. You got to understand in this case, your players, your actors, and so forth. With that, you take that information, you go through it, what buttons to, at what point in time, all of those things. So again, you can come from hockey and then go into football or soccer and so forth. But I think the way we shaped in our mind is because I played football, I have to be a football coach. No, a football coach can translate into financial service industry. Even as an example, within the financial service industry, majority, especially on average, I don't have any evidence to prove, but the individuals over the last 20 years that I've connected with, some did not do even finance. Of course, they took certifications and so, but they are outstanding in leading, in coaching, in mentoring, and so forth. Equally, they may have come from football. So again, it's the idea of thinking, the idea of understanding the process, working with the process, changing the process, having a framework. That's what works in the world.
Right. I mean, I have to say that you did something pretty interesting because you took all those concepts and you applied them to teams in ice hockey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're apparently very familiar with ice hockey, or did you learn that?
No, to be honest with you, connected with ice, of course, I watch the game. Not every day, I will, admit it. However, there was a high disconnect with respect to, let's say, basketball, football, etc. And although it's been around and it's a global event, the impact wasn't felt globally, but yet it was a global sport. I know Canada has won a lot of awards from that perspective. So, and then when you look at the research, usually sports, when research is being done, whether from psychology, work-life balance, and so forth, performance, every sport is grouped together. So for me, one of the gaps I saw is let's base it on one sport. And then from there, you lay the foundation, not necessarily with ice hockey sport, but more so to be able to build a platform that we can be able now to generate a lot of data to understand and build a mold and shape. And the practicality of it is it applies across all industries. So we were able to sort of come up with 4 main contributions to research, academic practice, and to sports management. And even through that process, we came up with a quantitative modeling, which we will develop in the near future.
Oh, so you're going to build something based on the dissertation that you actually use going forward?
Oh, yeah, we're already, in the next couple of weeks or months, depending on the publication, we're already 95% done to do a publication on the overall dissertation. And through the pieces and the works, we'll generate a lot of journals that would drive the impact. So it wasn't, again, we're talking about agility, platform, and so forth. So it wasn't done. I didn't go into PhD just to have a DR. My name still remains Anthony Benson. However, whatever we do, we have to make sure we're moving it onto the next phase to be able to drive the impact to industry, humanity as we move forward.
So you actually see developing some type of software application based on this, or what are you going to do? How are you going to deliver it? How are you going to deliver this platform?
Yes, we've already had companies we've partnered with, let's say with Swarm Innovation, where it looks at, the whole, not the part. And it ties it into even, of course, with a lot of research that I've also done, which also drove one of the model that we unearthed from a spider model, a spider web, or I'll call it Anansi, to be able to drive that. Yes, we will be collecting data depending on the model, depending on team high performance, location, geographic locations, and so forth, because it's going to be different at all times, in all situations. And then you have to tweak it. Oh, yes, we're going to develop. Data is how we live our world now. When I say data, it's not quantitative alone. It's also the qualitative, which is the baseline which the research was developed. But we're focusing on qualitative, quantitative, and then in between where it makes sense, it helps decision makers to be able to drive value and positive outcomes.
Right. So do you already have a platform right now? You already have something?
Yeah, we've been building it alongside with the PhD process. Yes, Benson Global Consultant. Of course, when we say consult, everybody wants to be a consultant, but they don't know. And we have a collective expertise across the world that is helping to infuse energy into every part of it. Yes, we have a platform.
So you've had this for a while, or?
Yeah, we've had it for a while, and we're building it alongside with our global partners.
Is it mainly companies that now use it, or is it something else?
Right now, we're focused on medium to large size companies all across the globe.
So in a way, your work experience really informed your topic and the way you.
Oh yes.
So
everything we've done, and every network we have globally informed all the ideas. We have to harness it, bring it onto the fold. Yeah.
Okay. So this has been up and running for a while, right?
Yes.
So it's got a watch video on the first page, which I imagine is a YouTube that you've done.
Benson
Yes, we did.
Management consulting firm. We empower medium to large-sized enterprises globally in the 10 sectors of the global economy, including financial services, industrial, energy, and agricultural. Our revolutionary strategy regularly produces financial results, making us the industry's preferred partner. Further, our prudence, agility, and forward-thinking approach, backed by proprietary research with our world-renowned international partners, fuel our unmatched success. Harnessing the power of our in-house research team and extensive global network, we unlock lucrative opportunities for organizations, driving their growth and prosperity. At the heart of our organization are 3 pillars of expertise. First, we excel at creating new client opportunities and harnessing untapped investment areas through collaborative innovation to cultivate thriving enterprises. Second, our award-winning strategic foresight services project global opportunities 10 to 15 years ahead, empowering clients to expand their businesses and outpace competitors. Third, our comprehensive architecture, framework, and unique business systems, coupled with global partnerships, enable our clients to magnify their strategic leadership, foresight, and innovation outcomes for long-term profitability. With us as your partner, you can pioneer new products, explore uncharted markets, and achieve purpose-driven, long-lasting outcomes. You can count on us as your destination to unlock profitable opportunities and thrive sustainably in the dynamic global business landscape.
Great. So that's quite an excellent video, and it's your business, right? You're the owner of the business, correct?
Well, we're global partners, so along with software companies we work with and consultants, because again, when you go into management consultancy, you start with the what is the concern, and sometimes what is the what, may not necessarily be, and the solutions that may come from, or the problem, when you go to the root cause, you realize you don't have it in your team. So you partner with other organizations to do. But we have collectively about 20 to 30 partners on the team, as well as with the companies we have, software related, to sort of once it comes to implementation, roughly about 10 of them that we work with.
Wow. So it's very impressive, very, very impressive, Anthony. I had not looked at your website. It looks like you have a global reach and you've got a network of other consultants that are working with you, right? Across that
Yes.
reach.
Yeah.
And
This is not about Anthony Benson. We chose the name Benson mainly because people, once they see my name Benson, everybody wants to know a little bit about me. But more so is to drive wisdom and skill to sort of provide a value-added service of which everyone is a partner of. So it's based on partnership to be able to bring solution to a problem which we sort of, every situation is different. We provide customized solutions. So again, you might walk into a situation and then you do the initial assessment and then you try to bring the partners who can be able to drive the value along those lines.
great. So I'm very impressed by this, and I didn't even realize that it existed. I thought you were doing financial planning. I don't know where I got that idea. Maybe historically you've done financial planning?
I think the first time we met, perhaps we may have connected or not, but it's the whole, it's comprehensive. Again, Benson Global is not, just financial, it's innovation, leadership, and all of it, the outcome potentially could be financial.
Right. And you also, it looks like you have a lot of blog entries as well on the site, right?
Oh, that will grow over time. Again, the PhD research and so forth will drive that. Publications and, even behind the scenes, which we are yet to sort of launch at some point in the future, will be an institute. So again, bringing collective institutions together and driving market-ready practical application opportunity to, all of it is to drive human progress.
Right. Well, I'm very impressed, and I want to wish you congratulations again. And I hope we get to meet up at some point when you come to the United States, and I'll take you to lunch. I owe you lunch. So thank you for your time this afternoon.
Any day, anytime, I will be there.
Take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Tune in next time on The Valley Current.